across, like ending with the job you got?
Sure. So I was in finance in third year, and so when I was applying to PEY, I kind of wanted to stay sort of in the realm, but I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. So I pretty much applied to 2 different things. I applied to consulting jobs and I applied to finance jobs. There are a few finance jobs out there for any of you who's looking, so don't worry. There are some opportunities. So I applied, RBC accepted me, I also applied to consulting, and I got a position at ZS Associates as well. And I was sort of picking between the 2. It was a hard choice. I spent like a week just thinking about what I wanted to do in the future. And then I eventually picked RBC Capital Markets because I thought it had the most career opportunities afterwards, and it sort of was the type of thing that I thought I wanted to do at the time. And so, yeah, so in terms of searching, I also have very, I want to say almost unique interview experience. So my ZS interview experience, it was pretty much a marathon day. It was like we spent 8 hours at their place. It was like 6 or 7 different interviews, including lunch. You got to like interact with them during lunch, and then there's a different case type interviews as well, where they present you with a case, and you sort of have to solve it for them, because that's the type of stuff that they do. And at RBC, they brought me in for a 2-hour interview, about an hour-long interview, and then an hour-long test. I don't know why they had to give me the test. It didn't really count for anything. I was told that afterwards, but they gave the test anyways. So it was kind of interesting. So you might want to look out for these kinds of things if they happen. So especially if you're applying to a consulting type job, you're more than likely going to get a case type problem, and there's a lot of packages out there where you can practice this kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, so my PEY job hunt was a little bit more focused because I had some very specific objectives, primarily to make a lot of money in 1 year. So I only ended up applying to, I think, 4 different jobs, and only one of those applications was actually seriously made, and that was to OPG, which I ended up working for. It was a fairly straightforward process. They needed, the usual resume, cover letter, but I also had to get a security clearance check because nuclear work is sensitive in that regard. So that, it went fairly well, I thought. There was a single interview about 30 minutes long, the typical behavioral questions. I thought it went well, but they didn't call me. The callback date came and went. I made other plans for the summer, started working on that human-powered helicopter project, and I was interviewed in March. Towards the end of June, I received a phone call saying that somebody else had declined their position, and so a spot opened up for me. Apparently I wasn't quite as good as I hoped to be, but they offered me the job anyway. And because I was already working on this other project, I asked them if I could postpone my acceptance until September. They thought that was fine, so that's what I did.
Well, and they're probably glad they offered you that chance anyway.
Yes, they were certainly pleased with my performance.
Yeah, it was, OPG is quite intimidating. I remember I was considering it too, and then I did some research in the environment, especially nuclear, since I'm in energy. And I decided, yeah, that really wasn't something I can take. So good for you. And I guess, Hanlei, how did you find this job overseas?
Sure.
You mentioned that your goal was a certain level of salary. So how did you know which companies pay you well?
Most of the PEY jobs listed on the portal, and most inquiries you might make outside of that will give you at least an estimated baseline salary.
Okay, so for me, when I get on the PEY website, I cannot find any structural-related jobs, so that was so depressing. Apparently, only 2 of my classmates find a structural-related job, but they all find it outside of the PEY portal. So I guess the advice would be like look elsewhere. Of course, you have to look at the PEY portal as well. So for me, I must have sent out all the resumes to around like 100 companies. I didn't even include a cover letter or so. I just hope that if I can get a job, I get it. If I can, I'll just take 40. And in the end, one company replied. I only got 1 interview, and I think I got the job. And it was a video interview from Skype, and I actually know the person because I think he's in my high school. I think he was in my high school. I didn't know the person, but we were in the same high school, so we like chat and we discussed like why he picked me, and he's like, I saw you have minors in sustainable energy, so it's kind of related. And I saw you have a summer research experience, and the journal published something. So yeah, that's how I got the job.
Nice.